Since 1873, students and alumni of color have been making history with their knowledge and expertise on the campus of Syracuse University and in the world. As undergraduates, many have been pioneers in creating student clubs, organizations, school traditions, and the development of university programs and departments. Hi, I'm Ben Green, class of 2008, advisor to the Friends of SU Alumni Group. Listen to our podcast about students and alumni making history past, present, and near. It's called FSU, Our History is Here. This is Ben G, Mr.RNB, and welcome to FSU. I almost forgot the name of my thing. Welcome to FSU, Our History is Here. And we're going to be speaking with Robb Armstrong. Now, if you think that name sounds familiar, that must mean that either you're online, you still read the newspaper, and you probably saw a book in the bookstore about comic book, cartooning, being an artist. But more informative here, I'd like to say that he's here because Robb, while a student at Syracuse University, he probably didn't know then, but he was making history. And you'll learn once we speak with him that he did make history, and he continues to do it to this day. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Mr. Robb Armstrong.
Wow, that was a beautiful introduction. Ben, I'm going to use that over and over again wherever I go.
Definitely. Hey, you can use it, man. No problem.
All right, good.
I just expect my check in the mail. That's all, you know. Residuals. That's all it is. That's all it is.
Happy holidays, brother.
Happy holidays, man. You know what? It's good now to be safe and try to be safe. People think, you know, it's really hard and you really have to think outside the box for real.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I've never been, this is weird to say because lots of people aren't neither safe nor healthy right now. Some aren't even here anymore, but
right.
I've never been, I honestly am healthier because
right.
Every year I get sick at least 2 times with a cold or something. I mean, right now it's incredible.
Right.
I don't go anywhere and I'm very healthy. Thank God.
Right. I mean, like for me in education, there's a school that I do go to, but it's done very well. Otherwise, I would not step foot in there, you know?
Yeah, man.
Seriously, I had to check it out. Go, okay, this is good. 6 feet, spread out. Kids don't move, only the teachers. Okay, we're good, you know?
Exactly.
So let's go back. It's 2020. Let's go back a couple of decades. This is interesting. You know that? When I say
yeah.
And let's go. You are this student at Syracuse University. Okay.
Yes. Close to 4 decades, by the way, but who's counting?
I know, right? You said it, not me. Now, how old were you when you arrived on that campus?
I was 19.
Whoa, okay. Now that's interesting because, you know, the average student who arrives as a freshman. Now, did you arrive as a freshman or a transfer student?
I arrived as a freshman, but I spent 2 years in the 7th grade. I'm not too proud of it, but now that you're digging in, that's why I was 19 when I got there.
Oh, no, let me tell you something. Yeah, everybody has, that's a great thing. Everybody has a history of how they got somewhere. It's like me, when I went to Syracuse, right? I went in the fall of 77. And I didn't get my official degree until 2018.
What?
Hold on. But I graduated in 1985.
With me, I know. I'm like, what are you talking about?
So as we talk about Syracuse, I'll tell you part of my story there. It's interesting because I had some hiccups.
Wow. Well, it was very expensive. I can tell you that myself.
Well, that's one of the reasons why it took me longer to get my degree. Thank you. See, now that you brought it up. Cash rules everything around me. Cream. Dollar bill, y'all. So you're this 19-year-old. You hit Syracuse. When you first attended, did you already have a major in mind?
Yes, I was very committed to art and being a cartoonist and all that. Actually, I was in high school when I sold my first professional work to a newspaper, to a citywide newspaper. I sold something to the Philadelphia Tribune when I was 17, and by the time but even before then, I was doing cartoons for my high school newspaper and stuff. So I was extremely motivated before I got to Syracuse. But it's a different level. Being at Syracuse was like a rocket going off. It was the most driven and the most productive I've ever been, which is saying a lot because I'm still an active, productive artist, and I've been working professionally for 30 years and all that. But Syracuse was something different, on a different level. I was I have to go back even a little bit before Syracuse because my mom was diagnosed with. I was raised by a single mom in Philadelphia.
Yes.
And she was diagnosed with cancer when I was a senior in high school. And when I got to SU, even though I was, sort of motivated to be a cartoonist one day and all that,
right?
I was just happy to be at SU, frankly. I was just happy to have made it. It was miraculous. A lot of little miracles had happened. And some family friends stepped in when they discovered she was ill. And I was able to find scholarship money with the help of other people, frankly. And got to SU and she died. She died like when I was there for 2 months.
Whoa.
And I was committed to my studies, really. I mean, I was, like any freshman, it's a brand new, overwhelming experience. Not on that difficulty scale. Syracuse was relatively easy academically.
Okay.
For me, because I had gone to an extremely challenging high school. I went to a very prestigious high school that was 99% white and 99% female. So I went to school with just white girls who were just like super driven and academically oriented. That's the reason I repeated 7th grade. I came in to that school, Shipley, as a normal black dude, right, from Philly.
Right.
And I didn't know what hit me. These girls were thrilled to be in school. First of all, I'm like, what the heck is going on here? And it was a gorgeous place. I mean, I was surrounded by tennis courts and greenery and soccer and lacrosse. And I'm like, lacrosse? Are they catching butterflies? What are they doing over there? That's lacrosse. I'm like,
those nuts.
Wow. Okay. So it took a year to adjust. Let me just put it like that. Another way to put it is I was lazier than them, frankly. I hate to even say that. It sounds slightly racist.
No.
But I wasn't ready for Shipley. Shipley was incredible. From an academic standpoint, nothing has ever challenged me the way Shipley challenged me. I'm still involved with Shipley. I'm still a donor to the school and everything.
Yes.
But I was very, very, very relieved to be at Syracuse, frankly. Academically, it was easier. I was focused on art. I was thrilled to be in painting classes and life drawing classes. Very excited when the naked model walked into my first class.
Wow.
In the fall of 1981. And no, I'm serious. I'm a 19-year-old dude, and a naked woman walks in.
Hello.
Naked woman walks in, takes off her robe, and says, "Draw me." I'm like, "Good, I'm in." So I'm like, college is good.
College is awesome.
College is awesome. Everything is awesome. I got my own little apartment, sort of. It wasn't really. I was living in Brewster at the time.
Well, yeah,
But all my friends are around me down the hall. It was. I didn't live at Shipley. That school I went to. It was a boarding school,
right?
But it was boarding for girls. So I went back and forth to school. So Syracuse was my first experience living at school and everything on the campus. It was exciting as can be. And 2 months into it, my mom succumbed to the cancer, and I quickly was altered. Ben, I can, because this is a brief interview, I'm forced to give this chapter of my life short shrift.
Sure.
But the emotional my emotional response, my mother dying, was so bad. Like I was her. I'm from a family of 5. I was her favorite child. I was her hope for the future. My oldest brother was killed in Philadelphia. My brother behind him was beat up by the cops and almost murdered by 3 grown police officers.
Wow.
Mistaken identity, George Floyd type stuff back in 1973. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. An extended fight with City Hall to get justice for him, which failed. Those cops got acquitted. Wow. So I spent my teenage life in and out of court and this and that. So when my mom succumbed to the cancer, because I was so immature, I was so underdeveloped as a human being, I became angry at her for dying. And I'm not proud to say this, you guys. No. I'm just being real. I was just angry at her for dying, and that anger became rage. By the time I'm at Syracuse now. Wow. I became an enraged young man, on fire. That's the reason that. But that rage, thank God, I was able to channel it. Good. So that's when I created what you recognize when you talk about my contribution to the school and the campus and history and all that. It's because I created this cartoon strip for the Daily Orange newspaper, Syracuse's school newspaper, called Hector. Hector, yes. Hector was created purely out of rage. In fact, if you read Hector, it's so different than the strip I do today. It's so different than Jumpstart. Oh yeah. Hector was just on one from day one until 4 years later when I walked off that campus. Hector was just on one, like going in on faculty and administration all the time, other students, himself, his roommate. Oh. He was sneaky and he was a womanizer and all that. He had issues. So a lot of that was me. I definitely became prone to womanizing and all that. All born out of this rage. And I had 2 white families when my mom passed away back in Philly. I had 2 prominent white families, one Jewish and one WASP. One heirs to a department store fortune, another one a pioneer in the medical field, the study of Parkinson's disease. I didn't know these people at all. Like, they were not friends of mine. I wasn't friends with their kids. I didn't know them, literally total strangers, but my mom was close to them, these 2 families. Partly from the kind of school I had gone to. I had gone to as I said, a school that was that world. It was that very tall hedge of a world that you cross over into. And you're like, wow, I would come back out of that and go back to Philly and try to kick it with my boys. And I realized something was missing, something was wrong. They didn't want to hear from me anymore. I became somewhat ostracized. Whoa. I just came back to that world telling stories about what I was seeing. And they were like, Negro, what? Get out. Right. What? You didn't fit right. You were where? Yeah, you went to a party and there was a pool inside the house. You lying. What? So I was just like, wow, like, these cats ain't even buying this. You know what I mean? Like, well, how am I going to tell somebody? I'm not interested in lying to them. I'm saying I'm trying to relate to them. I'm trying to share with them this thing to stop me from feeling like, like a fish out of water out there. Sure. Right. But then I became a fish out of water at home in Philly, like even inside my own family and everything. So I really didn't have comfort at home or at school. Syracuse changed that. I felt this is home. Like I hated coming home from Syracuse. I hated leaving the campus. I knew that going back to Philly was just problems. You know what I mean? So I just really felt a great relief being at Syracuse, and coupled with that rage of losing my mom, this thing happened called Hector. Right. That changed my whole life. Ben, to this day, I consider 1981, around this exact same time of year, just about it was late November, early December, almost identical. But I was up at school creating Hector. And it was just like, it was 39 years ago, whatever. And I was reborn in a way. I think a lot of people who suffer loss lose their bearing in a big way, and it can be really self-destructive. It can just turn you into a drug-using, drunken student and all that kind of stuff. Instead, I just felt I better just keep drawing this strip. And I just retreated into that world. And Hector became my identity. I was perfectly happy when kids said, look, see that kid over there walking into the cafeteria? Guess who that is? That's the guy who does Hector. I didn't even care if they didn't know my name.
Right.
That guy right there does Hector. Like, I got such gratification out of that. And in the beginning, I was like, wow, I do want them to know my name. My name is androgynous though. My name is Robbin Armstrong. So I said, man, if I put my name in the paper as Robbin Armstrong, they're gonna think I'm female. So no one's gonna believe, when they point me out, no one's gonna believe that. So I gotta use my entire name. So I used my entire first, middle, and last name, Robbin Troy Armstrong, when I was at Syracuse.
I remember that.
So,
tell them how you spell your name.
Robbin.
Right.
2 B's. And Robb is spelled with 2 B's too. Robb Armstrong. 2 B's.
Yeah, because the average person thinks, Robin, well, if you know Batman and Robin,
right.
Sense of that. But when I saw the ROBB, I thought, oh, how cool is that? I never seen it spelled that way.
It was interesting. It still is interesting. I mean, I love my name. Only my wife calls me Robin. Everybody else thinks I'm Robb Armstrong. But anyway, so I had to really grow out of this rageful disposition I had at Syracuse. I'm not saying I was a jerk to be around, because I believe I made friends like you and lots of other people.
Sure. And
it was genuine friendship, and I frankly, I love being around a combination of Black people and white people together. Like, when I was in high school, I lived 2 segregated lives.
Sure.
I lived a life surrounded by nothing but Black people. And I would jump on a train, and then walk a mile. Sounds like a made-up story. And then I'd be around nothing but rich white people. And then I'd go to soccer practice and all that, and come home and have to hide my other life. I had to hide my soccer cleats and my books and everything, and just pretend to be a Black dude, and just get off the bus and pull my hood up and just try to conform. And I just lived these 2 divergent lives until I went to Syracuse. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I didn't know it at the time, but even though my mom didn't live to see, she saw me off the Syracuse. She saw me get on the Greyhound bus and go.
Wow. But
from that point on, that was it. I was on my own financially. You mentioned this the struggle that happens to Black students.
Oh yes.
That mob presence called the Bursar's office was just hovering over me like all the time. And even though I had family, these 2 white families, this Jewish family and this white family, that sort of had my back, they were mostly concerned with never coddling me and never intervening in my transition into an adult life. So they weren't handing me money for school. One of them gave me $100 a month for books and art supplies.
Right. Ooh, that's
the other one. Yes, it was cool. Hey, I actually had cash. I was like, hey, I got some cash. I was Davy's girl. Yeah. I could actually take them down to Marshall's.
I know, right? It's affordable.
I had $20. They were like, wow, you buy us pizza? Yeah, I got the pizza. Don't worry about it.
That's right. Oh, man.
But the other family was there more for moral support and my developmental growth, because I had arrested development. I was a teenager and I had no parents, so they recognized I had that arrested development. So the Jewish family was that dad, that mom. They just you want to go to a ball game. Like when I come home for the holidays, I go to see the Sixers play. I never seen any live sports or anything, a professional sport. I would go to see the Sixers and the Eagles and all that. I'm just like, wow, So I considered myself blessed, even though it would take me years to realize I was literally blessed. And it took me years to discover the godness in all of this, the divinity of it. I realized in my senior year at Syracuse that God was real. Like I just spent that time figuring I had sort of gotten lucky, and I got these people who make sure I don't fall all the way on my face.
Right.
But I was sweating like any student. I mean, it sounds like you were sweating. I was just financially just sweating.
Oh man,
I could never stop. No amount of toweling down would stop the sweat of owing someone tens of that. We're kids.
Yes,
we're 20 years old. We owe someone tens of thousands of dollars all of a sudden.
Right, coming from our background, like I never had the response. I didn't have a father figure. And my mother didn't sit me down and say, okay, when you get this amount of money, no.
Ain't nobody say that?
No, you know what I did all my years in Syracuse? I worked.
Yes. Ben, first of all, you were the workingest guy. First of all, I thought I was the workingest guy there because I just felt like that until I met Ben Green. When I met Ben Green, I said, wow, this brother actually is employed here.
I know, people thought I worked for the university. Man,
I had little jobs. I had little work study job. I worked. I had to sit in the art gallery and make sure nobody stole paintings. But that's not a real job. I would just sit there and I would draw Hector in there.
Sure, that's how you make that time.
Right. But Ben Green was out here hustling. I'm like, wait a second. Is he a grown man? Like, how is he?
Oh,
but yeah. You were different, man. You were definitely different.
Please, survival. Bad, but I was surviving. Let me tell you something. I worked so much that I missed the first season of The Cosby Show because I was working at a radio station.
That's hilarious.
Out of school, and I had a job on campus.
That's hilarious. But guess what? I gotta. Can you top this? I hate to do this. When it's done to me, I don't like it, but I'm doing it, so forgive me.
Hey, no good.
But I never saw the Orange. I never saw
a game?
Games. I never saw like that's why I love going home and going like the Sixers games.
Yeah.
But at Syracuse, I didn't see the football team. I would see these guys on campus.
Right.
I know who they kind of were.
You saw them people. There it is. Mm-hmm.
No, I never went inside the Carrier Dome until we graduated from the Carrier Dome.
Well, you had the Carrier Dome. I had that cement dome. Not dome. I had a cement stadium when I got there in fall of '77. But guess what? I didn't have tickets to go to the game. You know how I got to the games?
How?
I worked them selling beer through the food service.
What?
Yes. That's only, please. I tell you, man, hustle.
Think of it this way, Ben. You can still fall back on that.
Yeah, you're right. Skills. Man. So yeah.
I'm talking too much, man. Tell me some things you want to ask.
So definitely. So you having to go through that, and I'm glad you found that focus, Hector, boom. And I call that like comic strip therapy.
Right. No question.
Because as you see, I draw a little, but you really are encouraging me to start my own little strip or do little things too. So I'll be knocking on your door for advice.
All right, I got you, bro. You know that.
And you like me, when I was working, when I got out of college and I started working in radio, I drew things that were happening around the office, and I hung them up in a lunchroom. People loved it. That was therapy. Wow. There were some things I didn't enjoy. And especially I love when you work in a radio station, the sales manager would yell at his salespeople. I thought that was funny.
What is that background you're sitting in front of? What are you sitting in front of? It's beautiful.
Oh, you see this? This is a musical thing made for me for my 60th birthday. It was a background banner before we went to, do stuff remotely, that was hung up for me to take pictures at my 60th birthday party.
Man, it's fantastic. I love it.
So they knew like, he has his own radio show, The Funk Show. They said it's gonna come in handy. And let me know when we started doing things like this, I was like, oh, this is gonna be awesome.
Wow. So why are you on camera? How come I'm not on camera?
You can click on. You gotta hit. You have to hit video. There you go.
Oh wow.
Hey.
What's up?
What's going on? There he is.
Now I can hold up my product. Wait, where's my book at? Wait a second.
Oh yeah, get the book. Fearless. That's right. Sell that.
There you go. Look at guys. Yeah. Honestly, a lot of people got their this self-published books or whatever. This is real. It's an actual book.
Yes.
I had nothing to do with it. No, I'm just kidding. I had everything to do with it. This is 30 years of my professional life in here. This is a 30-year treasury, just so you understand what you're looking at. what I'm holding in my hand.
Yes.
You ever see like a Calvin and Hobbes book and all that? Okay, those are treasuries.
They are.
I'm the first African American in the history of this country. Frankly, I hate to overstate this, but this is the truth. In the history of the world, this is the first African American treasury, 30-year treasury ever put together by a publisher, Andrews and McMill, the same publisher who publishes Calvin and Hobbes and Snoopy and Garfield and Doonesbury. That is what you got to pick up.
Still making history. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying, man.
Yeah, when
I think we're all making history. I don't want to sit there and go, and I'm now making history. Here's the thing, man. We are all living through something.
Yes.
That our grandchildren want to say, Granddad, tell us again about COVID-19. And after we're gone, we're going to be talked about as having survived or not survived COVID-19. Like, we're going to be asked about Rodney King, George Floyd.
Yeah.
Like, history is not something you can necessarily control and say, I'm now going to wake up and start history.
Right.
You're just it's sort of thrust upon you, and it's your job to recognize that.
Gotcha.
And decide what will they say about me, because you got today. That's it.
That's it. Right.
You got right now.
Your rep, you got to make sure it's not just your rep. When people look for, because I'm a big person of looking for the unsung hero, and I flip around, that's when I find other people going, "What? They did that?" And you dig deeper, you'll find that there are a lot of people out there, like you said, who were doing things, just living their life.
Yeah.
And they made a difference, and that's what we're doing.
Absolutely. I always say, look, you can hold up a sign. You can hold up a sign that says Black Lives Matter on it. I ain't mad at you. You can march up and down carrying it. You can scream and yell it. You can get upset and say it. Right. What I would rather do between just us girls, I'd rather live a life that's mattering.
Gotcha.
I would rather live a life that is indeed mattering.
Sure.
I'm not sure if mattering is even a word.
Hey, that's going to be, the Webster, it's going to be Robb Armstrong created this word while talking to Ben Green. Matter. The definition there, we'd be like, mattering.
Be mattering. Be always mattering.
No, that's true, man. Like you said, we create things that someone will pick something like this up and go, wow. You've just experienced the FSU Our History is Here podcast, Juneteenth edition, featuring Robbin Troy Armstrong, class of '85, a nationally syndicated cartoonist and author. In this episode, we learned about Robb's humble beginnings as a young artist who jump-started his career in high school, selling a drawing to the Philadelphia Tribune. We also learned how Robb continued to succeed as an artist and attend Syracuse University despite the loss of his elder brother and his mom. We now know the origin of Robb's comic strip Hector and how it became comic strip therapy while drawing the comic strip series. Join us for episode 2 as we take this fantastic ride with Robb into his historic adventures. He is the first African-American artist to run a comic strip feature for over 30 years, and the only African-American artist in the world to have a book of treasures with 30 years of work. This special edition of FSU Our History is Here features the following music: Sense of Purpose by Holizna, On the Clock, our original theme. FSU, Our History is Here is a creation of Another Ben G production 2022.